Hello to all my friends out there. Hi, you guys. Here we are again. So I've been working around the house on my eBay. And one of the things I do when I'm working is I used to work a lot and go to school a lot. And so what I did was I trained myself to relax while I was doing my work, no matter what it was. And so it's so habitual. You'll see me when I'm doing my videos. I drink Coke, I eat, I talk. So this video is 10 things you might forget to stockpile, 20 things you need to learn how to make, 2 things you need to dehydrate, and old-fashioned candy. Why doesn't the old-fashioned candy come out like the old-fashioned candy? Okay, 10 things you might forget to stockpile. Number 1 is popcorn, and you might think, why stockpile popcorn? Well, for one thing, it's not a processed food. And for a little thing, this was full. I ate half of it. For another thing, a little bit of popcorn makes a lot of food. So, you can eat it. And normally in my life, the only time I really would eat that much popcorn is if I made popcorn balls. But popcorn is a good snack because there's no sugar in it. Number 2, dry soy. Okay. A long time ago, my mom, it's like soy burger, but it's like a hamburger, but it's soy. My mom bought like 25 pounds. It was like in a dog food bag. I can find it now. I can find it in bulk at the Mexican stores here, or at Food for Less. They sell it in little 1-pound packages. So I'm going to be buying some more of that. And with that dry soy, you can make soy burgers. You just, like a hamburger, you just rehydrate your soy with like beef broth, or today I bought beef bouillon. And you put some dry breadcrumbs, some egg, and some seasoning. And that is basically how you would make a black bean burger too. You just you drain your black beans, and same thing, like dry breadcrumbs, eggs, and seasoning, and you can make black bean burgers. Okay, number 3, barley. Okay, barley is like popcorn. It's dry and it lasts forever, and a little handful thrown in your stew or your soup. Say if you had all of a vegetable soup and you had a little barley and mushrooms, it would make all the difference. Egg replacer. Okay, one of the followers said she tried to find egg replacer at Walmart, and it is hard to find at Walmart. I found it by the evaporated milk at the one Walmart. But this week I saw they had it at Target, and they also have it at Sprouts. And it's not too expensive. The one I found at Target was $3.99. Number 4 was egg replacer. Number 5, raisins. Okay, if you stockpile up some raisins, they're not too expensive, and then you're not going to be running out of fruit. You can pour a few little raisins on your oatmeal, or make some cookies, or just, kids love to eat apples and raisins. One of the best snacks was graham crackers and raisins, or apples and milk. So, raisins. 6, large cans of tomatoes. Okay, the large cans, like if some kind of food shortage starts to happen, the large cans of tomatoes are really going to help you, because you can mash them and make like tomato sauce or ketchup, or you can put them in chili or anything that you would normally use cooked tomatoes in. But you can use them just like fresh tomatoes. It's not as good, but if you didn't have any tomatoes, and at this point the large cans of tomatoes are 94 cents at Walmart for stockpiling. Okay, 7, canned cream. Okay, you need good fat in your diet. A lot of people drink cream in their coffee, but there's a lot of things you can put the cream in your soup, or in your drinks like hot chocolate. So I buy the canned cream when I find it dented cans, and I usually get them for about 50 cents, and every time I see them I buy them. Number 8, spices. It's really going to help if you have like dry parsley, chives, onions, Italian seasoning, chili powder, lemon pepper, that sort of thing. Number 9, mushrooms. Mushrooms are really, really going to help in all kinds of ways. You can use them like if you make beef barley soup. You can make stir fries with mushrooms, pizzas, all kinds of things. They're just nice to have, and they're not too expensive now, and you get quite a few in a can. Olives. Olives are really good because you can substitute some olives and some cheese for meat. Also, olives on salads. Some of us just like to eat a lot of olives. Okay, green chilies. Those are really, those little cans of green chilies. I had some on my cheese bread the other day, but what they're really good for is if you have to survive on beans. And those little bit of green vegetables really going to help you. If you should ever, and your dry onion, if you should ever, and your bacon grease, so green chilies. Corn syrup, honey, and molasses. I would just buy those 3, a can every now and then. I use corn syrup to make granola bars, although you can use honey, and then you can, you never really think about all the things you can use molasses for. But if also, the main thing about these, corn syrup, honey, and molasses would be good for barter if things get really, really bad. Right now, things are really, really bad in Mexico as we speak. There's a famine caused by a drought, and an extremely cold winter is to be expected. You guys saw me, I was dying. I go, what is with this? It's so ungodly hot. It must be the fires, right? Well, guess what? It was very hot and droughty in Mexico too. Now they're supposed to have this exceptionally cold winter that is further going to mess up the crops. Right now, California is on fire again. Orange County is not far from here. I'm surprised the smoke hasn't drifted down here. Now they're saying 100,000 people without power. So that is why I'm so obsessed with these preparations for disasters. Let's hope, it's like everybody, I hope. This is earthquake country and fire country. And God knows what else. Maybe riot country, maybe protest country. So we have to kind of prepare so that if we had to barricade ourselves in our houses, we would have some popcorn to eat while we watch Netflix. Okay, 20 things we need to learn how to make. 1, butter. Butter is really, really easy to make. You just put cream in your blender if you don't have a food processor, and you just blend it until it turns into butter, into a little coagulated clump of butter, and then save your liquid out of there. Number 2, jam. Jam is really easy to make. If you have canned vegetables, you just drain it. I drain it. I don't think you have to. I drain it, and then I cover the fruit like peaches with water, and then I add sugar, and if anything else I want, cinnamon, and I cook it down, and then I mash it, and I chop it with a spatula until it's jam-like. Or if I want cooked fruit, I don't, mash it like jam. I just cook it, and then I turn it off, and I put a little lemon if I have it, and that's good in case things started really to get tight and you got fruit from the food bank. You could make some jam to go on your pancakes. Salmon patties, good ones. That may sound like a minor thing, but if you have a good recipe, so now on these things you learn how to make, what you want to find is a good recipe, because it's really going to help you if you should have to eat out of your stockpile. So on salmon patties, the main thing you need is eggs, and so that's why if you have things you might forget to stockpile, you can use egg replacer in your salmon patties or your meatballs. But the main thing is that you have a good salmon patty recipe. Green onions and lemon pepper really help. Fruit cake. Okay, fruit cake is really good because fruit cake is not the cheapest thing to make, but once you get the fruit cake, if you wrap it up in double foil, it lasts forever. Soda bread and flatbread. Okay, in case you should run out of yeast, God forbid. And then, so soda bread, flat bread, and then yeast. Yeast is really, really important to know how to make good yeast in case you can't buy any. I posted a video on my Twitter by Cowboy Ken Rawlings, how to make yeast. That's one of the best ones I have found because I don't like eating anything that tastes like vomit, and his yeast is pretty good. Also, if you had to, you can drink the liquid as alcohol, or you can use that in place of your dairy in your recipes. Corn and flour tortillas. That would be in case, God forbid, you ever had to eat beans. Spaghetti sauce. Okay, what if you can't get any jars of spaghetti sauce? Oh, good, I have these tomatoes that I stockpiled for 94 cents. So the main thing you have to know for spaghetti sauce, just in case you don't prepare and trouble comes, is salt, pepper, sugar, and Italian seasoning. That'll do. It won't be the best, but that's why you want to learn how to make it. I have a really good recipe book around here, and I'll give you guys a recipe. Bread. You need to know how to make good bread so that you could live if you had to eat it. Yogurt. I've made yogurt tons of times. It's easy to make, and if you know how to, if you have evaporated milk, then you're always going to have yogurt. Cheese. I haven't had good success on making cheese. I'm working on that one. Pies and cakes. The thing about pies is once you learn the crust, all you really have to know is refrigerate your crust for at least an hour and try to keep your crust cool. Once you get a good recipe and you learn how to make the crust, then if you have canned fruit, you can make pies. And then homemade cakes. The best way is like learn a simple cake. There's good cakes out there like chocolate cakes, like chocolate buttermilk cakes that are really easy to make. Biscuits. Biscuits are pretty easy to make, and the best kind, if you're inexperienced, is drop biscuits. You don't have to roll them out, you just drop them. Sauerkraut. I haven't gotten that one down, but I'm still working on it. Gravy. Gravy is like food, so if you know how to make biscuits and you can make sausage or bacon gravy, you can pretty much survive on that. Soups and stews. Okay, not just say to yourself, well, I'll just dump a bunch of vegetables in, a pot. Good recipes for soups that you could really live on. And I did a lot of recipes on soup that was made out of canned vegetables. A lot of people, if you're not into this stockpiling and preparation stuff, you might say to yourself, what should I do with these? Well, I made a pea soup, corn chowder soup, some tomato soup, and I think they're on my Twitter. Chili and beans. Okay, chili is pretty easy to make, but if you get a really good recipe, if you should ever have to eat that, it's going to make all the difference. A lot of people make beans in the crock pot. Okay, and then I added scones, crumpets, and clotted cream, just because they're cheap to make and they can add a lot of joy to your life, and that's very important too. Okay, now 2 things that I am going to be dehydrating and I think is very important is I'm going to make dehydrated vegetable assortments, like cut the vegetables in small pieces, carrots, onions, celery, peas, and green peppers, and then just dehydrate them, and I'm going to put them in a big jar of some sort so that I can put a cup in my soup or stew if I should have to. Another thing is you can, if you don't have a dehydrator, you can dehydrate at 250 in your oven now that it's cooled off. And another thing is dehydrated peppers. I used to know a guy, and he brought peppers back that they dehydrated in the sun from New Mexico, and of course they're going to have a much better taste. And the other thing I'm working on is fruit ropes or fruit leather. So I put a good recipe on my Twitter. Just go to Rotastone Twitter or do a search, fruit ropes or leather. I'm going to be making some of that. And then old-fashioned candy. Okay, you have to pretty much be old to have ever tasted any old-fashioned candy, but you will notice that no matter where you go on the earth, you cannot get candy that is like the old-fashioned candy. It could be a lot of things, but one of the things is you don't have the recipe. Another thing is you don't have my grandmother's cast iron skillet. And another thing, you didn't live for 100 and make it for 100 years. So one of the things that can help, and I try to find these, this is a very old cookbook. It's a very old book. It's, first of all, on your antique books like this, you shouldn't be opening them or really using them. This was written in 1878. So I will read you the candy molasses. 2 cups of molasses, one of sugar, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, a piece of butter the size of a walnut. Boil constantly for 20 minutes, stirring all the time. When cool enough to pull, do it as it will come white rapidly. 2, take a clean tin or porcelain kettle of large size so that there is no danger of boiling over. Put in a sufficient quantity of good molasses. Place it over a fire. This is also a problem. And boil briskly until it will be brittle when cooled, which may be known by dipping a little of it in a dish of cold water. This is how my grandmother used to do it. Then pour into a well-buttered pan, not over an inch thick. Let it cool until it can be handled and pull it smartly until white. Draw out on a clean table into candy sticks. That's old-fashioned molasses. And good luck to you. And the other thing is, I look for these old books, and they're hard to find now because, you know, people sell online. But if you can find old gardening and farming books, those are very easy to sell if you should want to sell them. This book, this would be very, very difficult to price, but chances are not too many of these are around. If you can find one, if someone's stupid and sells it cheap, you might as well snap it up. That's what a lot of collectors do. I have sold quite a few antique books on eBay. And they don't move as fast as you would think, but they do eventually sell. Okay, you guys, please like, comment, and subscribe, and God bless you all.